Good afternoon. Welcome to All About Animals. I'm Sherry Graditor. And my guest, and if you follow the show, you've probably met her before, is Marge Gibbs, who is the owner, originator, founder, primary trainer for, is there anything else I can say? Leash and collar dog training, and that is Riverwoods, isn't it?
The training location is in Riverwoods.
Correct. And is an outstanding trainer. And I've known Marge, I've known you forever, for God's sakes. We were both young when we met. It was a long time ago. In any case, we were talking about canine socialization. And it's a big topic because we ain't doing it right, people. And Marge, as a trainer, is seeing dogs come in that have not been properly socialized. Is that a change from the past, Marge?
It seems to be. I've been training dogs, decades. And 20 years ago, there was a different, the culture's changing, the society is changing. In this area, people are changing. Everyone is working. Everyone is on their social media. Everyone wants a dog, but what are they doing with that dog to bring the dog into human society as best they possibly can? And I'm seeing a big change there. You know that my scientific mentor, friend, my surrogate father in the science was the scientist who discovered the canine critical periods of socialization. And people say, well, that's a critical period. What is it all about? There are lots of critical periods going. There are critical periods in everyone's life and dogs' lives as well. But the critical period for dogs is really puppyhood from the ages of 3 through 12. Most dog people know this. But as the puppy is beginning to grow,
when you said from 3 to 12, you mean months?
Weeks.
Oh,
weeks.
Week.
Oh, yes, I missed that.
You missed that.
Yeah, it's 3 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
So these are little baby puppies. As soon as their eyes open, their ears are hearing, they're beginning to move. This is the time where breeders, they have the puppies at this point, must begin acclimating them to people, and it's a two-way street. If the dog is not properly acclimated, meeting a lot of different people, the two sexes, different age brackets, children, getting a look at a baby for the first time, this type of thing, and animals as well. This is a good time to socialize young puppies to cats, for example. And so many good breeders have cats on the premises so that we can have a two-species household in the future. But puppies are not usually sold until they're about 7, 8 weeks of age, maybe a little bit older. So a lot of this responsibility falls on the breeders. And when we have the infamous puppy mills out there, where dogs are looked on as livestock probably, we basically are not going to get that initial socialization going. So that's important. But when puppies hit about 8, 9 weeks of age, and they are being sold, when people come to us for puppy class, for example, one of the first things they want to do is get out there to the dog park so the dog can socialize. So socialization now is going more dog to dog rather than the human family getting really intimate with their pet and building a relationship with the pet itself. So we see changes coming in. So many dogs from shelters have missed something early on in life, or they probably wouldn't have been there to begin with in many cases. So we have to undo a lot. Socialization you can work with. It isn't over at 12 weeks, but it takes a lot more energy, a lot more time.
So we are seeing it change, but okay, granted, and you got to be careful when you talk about shelters, because I believe shelter dogs are absolutely wonderful.
I do too.
Absolutely terrific, and I have dealt with unsocialized dogs from private homes as well. So, it just is. But assuming that it is, and I believe that it is, what do we do about it? How do we work with this? What is not happening in families with dogs that should be happening?
They're not spending the time with the animal. They're looking more for let's take a walk with another dog. So we can walk down the street and the other dog and we can get together. Or if we're going to the dog park, are we playing with our own dog or are we just turning him loose to play with other dogs? Dogs know how to be dogs. And what we are seeing as a training school, and this is my training school, I don't know about my peers out there, is that we are quite often seeing dogs coming into classes where families say, gee, he needs some obedience work because he has absolutely no respect for me. He doesn't come when he's called. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. The dog doesn't have a relationship with the family. And we have to now start to work from that aspect of it. I know how to train dogs. You know how to train dogs. Does the family know how to get that relationship going?
Of course not.
And this is where we really need to consider it. You don't need to spend a lot of time. 2 minutes a day is better than nothing. But the family needs to have that contact with the dog so there's a relationship going between the two species.
Yeah. And you see the problem, and I see it a lot because I do dog park every day with my dog. I also spend a lot of time sitting on the floor with her in my lap. And my dogs have been pretty much special cases all the way because I get dogs that are totally unsocialized and I socialize them. But when you go to when someone goes to the dog park, they will tell you that this is their time to be with their dog. And they perceive that as their time to be with their dog, even though they're sitting on a picnic bench talking to someone else while the dog is out romping. But they have dedicated this hour and a half to being with the dog. And they don't perceive a difference between being with the dog when the dog is in the house, when the dog is on leash, when the dog is somehow connected to the family.
And they kind of, we see the trend to almost expect the dog to know what to do in a household. Dog is a dog. He's not a human unless a human teaches this animal what you want in your own society. So we're seeing that. But getting back to the dogs running and chasing each other in the dog park, you have to realize that every learning experience that each animal has is going to build for the future. And we are seeing, hate to say it, a lack of what I call bite inhibition in dogs coming into classes where, 20 years ago, it would be almost unheard of for an adult dog, if you're holding a little goodie in your hand, for example, and you say, you want a little treat for the dog to go, give it to me now. And then going, ah! And you're getting almost a snap for it. Well, if they're learning behaviors to be pushy and how to make other animals avoid us, we're going to have the bully dog, not bully breed, but a bully type dog on the dog park playground. The guy who's got the leader of the pack out there.
The alpha dog.
The alpha dog is out there. And basically, dogs are beginning to learn from each other what they can and cannot do with their own species when they are loose. Now, when we put them on a leash and they're frustrated, we can begin to see the dog taking that leash frustration, redirected aggression, where we might take it out on that dog over there because I can't get to you right now. And at its worst, a turnaround at the owner and saying, let me off leash, I've had it. I want to be loose. So we're getting behavior that is just a little bit over the top from what we have seen, 10, 15 years ago. This seems to be coming up the pike. What do we do about it? We encourage our students, always in classes, we have recess time. Take recess with your dog. Play with him. And they don't do it. They want play out the leash and let the dog visit with another dog. This is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. And yet, if we balance things, because I am a dog park person. I take my dog to the dog park every day. And I throw a ball for her. Throw a ball for her, and she chases the ball. And I carry little training treats in my pocket, and when she brings me the ball, she gets a training treat, she gets petted, and she gets told she's done something that I like. She's not very social with other dogs. She never learned to be social with other dogs as a puppy. She never saw other dogs as a puppy. She never saw much of anything as a puppy. So you know, I do take her, but I balance that time with time where either we walk on leash, or we sit in the house, or we do things together. And then there's my husband, the big mush ball, who walks in the house and says, "Hi, sweetheart, how was your day? Hello, puppy, daddy's home." And sits on the floor and takes his dog, all 65 pounds of her, into his lap. So she's getting both. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the one, as long as we make sure there's the other.
The other. You need that. You also need to recognize that dogs are different, species are different. The different breeds of dogs are all a little bit different. We have dogs that like to run in packs and be what we call playful, but there's always an alpha in that group as well. And then we have more, to me, I look at the herding breeds, the dogs that are working or have been working guard type breeds. They want to keep a pack safe, and therefore we're looking at the newcomer coming in, you know, through the dog park gate. Is this going to be a dog who's going to be trouble for the pack out here, or is this going to be... Dogs as a species play one game, and it begins with a dyad where we're chewing on each other, and who wins the wrestling match, who grabs the toy, who is winning out on the playground. So dogs play this, and as they become more adult, quite often they begin to play for keeps. And this is where we can have some problems out there too.
Those are the ones that shouldn't be in the dog park.
They shouldn't be there.
Yes.
They shouldn't be there.
And that's one of the things that concerns me, is that that's not enforced.
Yeah, and there are no monitors, human monitors out at the dog park who really can see what is going on.
Even the wardens who come, even the wardens who come, if you report an animal and that animal has one report, doesn't mean a thing. 2, 3 bites, maybe a bite on a person.
A person is where they'll take some action.
Okay, Marge, so what do we want to see in 1 minute in the future, because we're just about out of time?
People, if you're going to get a dog, they're social animals, but they really need that interaction with all family members. And if that's not forthcoming, you're not going to have the dog you really wanted in the first place. And that's where we're going with this. Yeah.
Dogs are part of the family.
Big time.
Yeah.
More so
I
than
used to
cats.
talk about skin babies and fur babies. Dogs are part of the family, but you have to let them into the family.
Yeah.
You have to make them part
It's a
of the
two-way street, and it's a two-way street,
Right.
yeah.
And if you don't, you'll never have what you want in an animal, and that's very sad, because they are very wonderful. And with that, I'm going to cut this off and take you to Save a Pet and show you some of the dogs and cats we have out there for adoption.